Then they sort of talked about solo content, how he kind of got a lot more feedback as far as the data showing that a lot more people played solo content than they expected. And then they talked about the Taiwan stream, how it wasn't, or the Taiwan show, how it wasn't like available to other places or streamable or anything like that. So a lot of good kind of topics here as far as the first half of the video, just him opening up to the community, right? Because he could have easily avoided all of these questions. He could have easily avoided, all these mistakes that they made. So I appreciate him for kind of being honest and transparent about their thought process and how they miss some things and are going to improve along the way. And that's kind of aligns with how it feels recently with the game and how it's gotten a little bit better. And it's gotten maybe not a little, kind of a lot as far as listening to player feedback, wanting to do better, and actually like incorporating these quality of life changes or things that the player base actually wants to get included into the game. And so it's nice to see how he kind of expressed that. But then like after this, right, they talk about the goals for the future of MSM, which is really one of the things that I'm surprised that they've done with the roadmap. For one, that they showed it in the moment patch, but also that he's kind of doubling down and showing us what to expect, right? Answering questions that a lot of people want to know, right? And what their goals are. Okay, so he talks about leveling as a huge part of this, of like the path moving forward.
생각을 했고, 장비 변경 이벤트나 강화, 초월 시스템의 전반적인 피로도를 줄이기 위한 개선을 함께 추진하게 되었습니다. 마지막으로는 전투의 재미에 집중할 수 있는 환경을 만드는 것이었는데요. 파티 모집을 부담 없이 보스를 즐기실 수 있도록 페페님 좋아하는 것처럼 싱글 모드 추가했고요. 서버의 한계를 넘는 월드 통합 파티 시스템을 준비하고 있습니다. 결국 저희가 앞으로 메이플 스토리 M을 통해 만들어가고자 하는 건요. 용사님들의 시간과 성장이 의미 있게 쌓이고 새로운 도전이 자연스럽게 이어지는 구조와 환경입니다. 노력은 보상으로 이어지고 성장은 보람으로 돌아오고 그 과정에서 재미와 몰입 끊기지 않도록 저희는 그런 게임을 만들기 위해서 계속 고민하고 앞으로도 꾸준히 변화해 나가겠습니다.
네, 말씀해주신 방향성.
I appreciate that, right? I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time, how there's no real forgiveness. There wasn't a real great forgiveness as far as failing, but now it only took them however many years to incorporate this, but it's better late than never, right? It seems like they're really focused on not just gaining new player bases, but making it enjoyable and rewarding and retaining, right? Retaining players. And it feels like right now, I don't know about how it is in other servers, but it feels like the community that is playing right now, the player base, is actually staying around, sticking around. There's not too many people quitting in our server anyways that I've seen. And it's just, that means they're doing something right. Right. And I think that it kind of is attributed to a lot of things that they are implementing in this past update in the last kind of 6 months, as far as making it more of less of a play to win type of game. And you can do a lot of things just by just progressing through events, through playing the game over time. And so now he's going to talk about sort of his sixth job. Huge. The January. So I think I mentioned this. Yeah, January with Black Mage. And I think this is what KMSM also had. Level 250 as well. So this is huge. Kind of excited that we knew this was coming in KMSM based on what KMSM had. But it's just nice for him to double down, actually admit that this is what it is, right? Because there's a lot of questions is it going to be 260? Because that's what PC was. KMSM was 250. So it's nice that he just straight up told us, and we can kind of prep. And he also talks about, we'll talk about later, how he plans to help people get to 250, right? Because he talks about, look, right here, worried it's too difficult and too far away.
멀게 느껴지는 거 아니냐, 이런 좀 걱정을 하실 것 같아요. 이 부분은 좀 어떻게 보고 계신가요?
네, 맞습니다. 특히 이번에 새로 시작하신 용사님들 혹은 오랜만에 다시 메이플스토리 M을 찾아주시는 용사님들께서는 250이라는 숫자가 좀 부담스러우실 것도 같은데요. 그래서 저희가 다음 주 8월 업데이트부터 6차 전직을 향한 대규모 성장 지원 이벤트 6번째 별을 시작합니다. 이 이벤트는 올 겨울까지 이어지는 장기 이벤트고요. 정해진 흐름에 따라 차근차근 따라오시기만 해도 모든 용사님께서 다가올 6차 전직 시대를 함께 맞이하실 수 있도록 설계되어 있습니다. 부담은 줄이고 성장의 흐름을 놓치지 않도록 끝까지 함께 하실 수 있는 구조를 만들기 위해서 많이 고민하고 있습니다.
와, 자연스럽게 다음 주에 있을 8월 업데이트 소식까지 스포일러를 해주셨네요. 아, 그거 외에 혹시 준비
So I want to talk about that. That is amazing, right? I feel like they just addressed like the number one question. 250 feels like a lot, right? Especially for newer players. Like for example, with my Lin, like if someone wanted to come back to the game and they played a Lin, how hard it would have been to get to 250 to actually experience 6 job as far as, in time, right? And I'm curious if they actually drop a new class like Mihail or Kane during this time period before 6 job, how difficult or how like is it even going to be possible for them to make it to 6 job in time to experience all of it, right? So I think that is exciting that they've thought about this, right? And they have something in place to make it easier and not so like just auto battle heavy, not just so like whale pay to win heavy can make it, right? So and they told us this ahead of time, right? They're giving us an opportunity to if you do these events and play the game, you're going to be rewarded and actually get to experience that. So I really really love that that they're sharing this with us and they have something in place.
또 어떤 게 있을까요?
이번 8월 업데이트는 기존 용사님들께서 도전 욕구가 느낄 수 있는 방향에 좀 초점을 맞춰서 준비하고 있는데요. 먼저 많은 용사님들이 꾸준히 플레이하고 계시는 무릉도장에 신규층 수가 추가됩니다. 기존에 이미 최고층에 도달하신 용사님들도 새롭게 도전할 수 있도록 새로운 구간 마련했고요. 이를 통해서 고레벨 용사님들도 성장과 도전의 재미를 다시 한번 느끼실 수 있을 거라 생각합니다. 또 보스 콘텐츠의 상위 단계인 카오스 루시드 새롭게 등장합니다. 강화된 전투 패턴과 보상을 준비하고 있고요. 윌, 비닐라에 이어서 또 다른 아케인 쉐이드 장비 파츠를 얻을 수 있는 보상이 기다리고 있습니다. 그리고 보스 콘텐츠 도전에 있어서
this is huge right here. This is huge. Chaos Lucid is huge. Curious how it is. I hope it's hard. And I'm curious how that enhanced sort of rotation and mechanics is going to be. But this right here is amazing. Right, I don't know if this was dropped in the roadmap or not, but this is a game changer for sure on top of solo mode.
별 보스 HP 조정 시스템이 함께 추가되는 거 말씀드렸었는데요. 상위 보스에 도전하시는 많은 용사님들 중 일부 인원이 못 오거나 할 경우에 부담이 좀 더 커지고 아예 이번 주에는 도전을 포기하는 경우도 많이 봤었는데요. 이제는 도전 인원수에 따라서 보스 HP와 난이도 등이 자동으로 조정되기 때문에 한두 명이 없더라도 아니면 새롭게 보스 공략 파티를 구성하더라도 도전하시는 데 무리가 없도록 준비하고 있습니다. 그리고 마지막으로는 최대 레벨이
So that is insanely exciting for, like you mentioned, right? Scheduling is hard, getting 10 people to be like locked in and like playing the right way and just scheduling wise, time wise, it just allows for just more flexibility and opportunity for more, players to do content, not have to skip the week and not have to depend on other people, right? Because a lot of times, if a lot of the bosses, missing one person, especially one of your stronger players, is game over, right? It affects everybody. And as far as like, it puts a lot of pressure on those people, those kind of carries, to be locked in, to be available, to really do a lot of to be, to perform well, to help the rest of the team, right? So it just puts less emphasis on one person. I think I've seen something from KMSM, but I don't want to like throw it out there. I threw it out there, I think previously in the moment update, but it could change. But I do know that like I think the sweet spot was like 8 people, where it felt like 8 people had the best like reduction based off of players on the team. And then I think even like if it's like low, like 2 to 3 players is a good spot as well. And we'll see how it plays out. But my initial thoughts are like, if I have an alt, right, that I have doing 2%, like just kind of just doing the bare minimum just to get the clear in Lotus or Damien or Gloom or whatever it is, right? And if if someone were to, the extreme is that someone, like for my Pally example, would be go into Gloom, where I have a bishop, like I just duo it, right? Or I'm on my Paladin, I'm helping someone else in alt clear. That's well under geared, couldn't do 2% in a 10-man boss fight, right? Because that's probably, let's say Gloom, it's probably like, let's say Damien is like 100 bill damage, right? And then they couldn't get there, right? They couldn't survive and do that DPS. But in like if it's a duel, or my Pally and the Bishop, how that HP reduces, that means say it's like reduced to 50% HP, right? Then it goes from 100 bill to 50 bill for that player to do 2%. And that is much more achievable for them to do, right? And it just opens up a whole nother can of worms as far as how people can take advantage of it, possibly abuse it. And I'm just curious how that plays out as far as like maybe it's okay. Maybe they've thought about this and it's okay and it's going to help the economy as more players are, there's going to be like more resources in the market. There's going to be more, more stones, like it's going to drop prices, it's going to be available so more people can, progress their gear. But I'm just curious, kind of thinking like my initial thoughts were, how does that affect like that 2% barrier or check mark for alts, and how people can sort of get as many like clears as possible, right? Like for my Bishop, it can do 2% in Lotus, but it can't do 2% in multi-Damien because it's like lacking HP, it's lacking stats right now. And so and it can't do solo mode because it's also lacking stats and things like that. But if this is how we expect it to be, and the HP gets reduced and that 2% becomes less, then it opens up, that's a interesting thing that people are going to have to look into. But it is exciting nonetheless, right? They incorporated, it just allows for more flexibility as far as solo mode if you want to go that route, or if you want to do like 2 to, less than 5-man teams, or all the way up to 10, right? Even at the highest level, I'm thinking like for our Varus Hilla team, or like creating our Varus Hilla 2 team. What is that sweet spot as far as not needing 10 people, but then maybe 6 or 7 that are geared enough? And like, if, like then it just creates opportunities for maybe our main team to split up and get more clears, get other people more clears and things like that. So there's just a lot of possibilities with this not being tied down to 10 players. And I think that is kind of like the wheels are turning as far as me thinking about these things, and makes me excited as far as how can I help more people clear content and get into more content and just progress in the game that way, right? So that's kind of my thought process. One of my right now that my favorite thing of this dev talk and this update is that Chaos Lucid is going to be cool, but that's like the 1% of the 1%. This is for like everybody that can benefit from this.